When working with secondary colors, can you place any orange inside of your color wheel, or does it have to be a specific color hue? That's something to keep in mind as we get into this next video. So this is the second video in my series on color mixing. First off, I want to say thank you for everyone who has supported the previous video and have left so many kind comments. That has just made my day and really just energized me to keep going at this particular topic. I actually love talking about color mixing, so I'm really glad that y'all are jiving also with this topic. So getting back to what we learned last time, remember we were creating basically little mini charts to help us decide on what primary colors we wanted to use in our color wheel. So instead of like you see in books where they're like, hey, take 3 colors and mix them together, I don't want you to think about painting or making a color wheel, but we are actually going to be building one. So we're going to be taking basically step by step, and I'm going to be walking you through how we choose primary colors and then how we choose secondary colors and how we choose tertiary colors, and then from there putting them all together into a color wheel that actually functions for you so that you can understand how the color wheel is supposed to be used as a tool instead of using it as a reference. But before we get into that, I really want to go over just the simple basics of the color wheel. And hang with me. I know probably all of you who have watched these videos, who are watching this video, have heard this spiel, but bear with me. This is very important. So the very first thing that we all learn about when we're learning about the color wheel is that there are 3 primary colors. This is basically the triangle that is the foundation of your color wheel. These 3 colors, let's alter the terminology a bit so we get it correct. But these 3 colors typically are a magenta, a cool yellow, or a neutral yellow, and then a cool blue. From there, we get the secondary colors. How do we make secondary colors? We make secondary colors by mixing 2 of our primary colors together. So your magenta plus your yellow will make an orange or a red color. We'll get into that a little bit later. Your cool yellow and your cool blue will make more of a green color. It's either going to be a chartreuse color green, or it's going to most likely be what I like to call a Christmas color green. And then finally, we're going to mix our magenta with our cool blue, and that is going to make a violet or a deep purple. So notice when I was going through just the primary and secondary colors, I've already been giving you different options, especially when it comes to the outcome of your secondary colors. This is why it really depends on what colors you're choosing for your primary colors. And finally, the last category that is in our color wheel are tertiary colors. These are considered the in-between colors. So a lot of times you'll see them as red orange or orange yellow or yellow green or green blue or blue purple or purple red. Basically, they're colors in between the secondary and primary color. And these colors are considered unlimited. You can basically put as many different hues as possible in this particular little section. So basically what ends up happening is you have 3 primary colors that are then mixed together to make 3 more secondary colors. And then you mix the secondary and primary colors together to make 6 more additional colors. And this makes the spokes, or basically the 12 different sections of your color wheel. Okay, so now getting back to what we were talking about last time with our little triplex charts and basically looking at individual color schemes in a very quick and easy way. The very first thing that I want to do is make a list of what paint properties I really desire to be top priority, second priority, third priority, and fourth priority. This is going to help me basically narrow down paint colors because every brand is going to have numerous different colors that could potentially fit into a primary color. So this is going to help you kind of just narrow down what you actually want your primaries to be. So I'm going to be making specific parameters for my primaries based on these particular paint properties. The very first one is going to be light fastness. And this basically locks me into what we would consider a traditional color wheel. The second thing that I'm going to make a defining parameter for my primaries is pure pigments. The third parameter that I'm going to be using is transparency. I really want these particular colors to either be transparent or semi-transparent. And the reason is because this is what makes watercolor different really from any other paint medium. So I really want to lean into that for this particular color wheel. And then finally, the last preference that I'm going to be using is non-granulating. This is a personal preference for me. You do not necessarily have to have this. But when I'm color mixing, especially when I'm trying to learn how to use the color wheel, I want non-granulating colors because they're going to basically make it easier for me to mix colors and make strategic choices for how I'm building my color wheel. So for me, using these parameters, I'm going to have Permanent Rose from Winsor & Newton. I'm going to have Winsor Lemon, and I'm going to have Winsor Blue Green shade as my traditional blue. So those are the colors that I'm going to start building my color wheel with. The next thing we need to do is figure out our secondary colors. And normally the logical step that you would do is mix your two primaries together to get a secondary color, and then plop it in your color wheel. We're not going to do that. Once again, we want to make this color mixing process as simple as possible. So what we're going to do is mix our two primary colors on a separate sheet of paper and try and mix them as equally as possible together. So remember, our secondary colors are equal parts of two primary colors. I like to do this as a gradient. I want the most saturated color as possible to make this decision. And I mix these together on a scratch piece of paper and then I let it dry. And this is very, very key. So for those of you who have been painting with watercolor, you know that when you first lay down your colors, they're normally very, very vibrant, but they slightly change color hue and sometimes they'll fade when they dry. So what you want to do is basically make a gradient of your two primary colors, mix them together as close as possible as you can get to equal proportions of both, and then let it completely dry. Come back to it once it's completely dry, and then start taking some of your secondary colors from your paint stash and then swatching those next to your color. And we're going to try and get a color as close as possible to that mixture. So basically, we're not going to be mixing our colors together. We're actually going to use a brand created pigment for our color wheel. And the reason for this is because we want our color wheel to be as predictable as possible. So sometimes when you're mixing, you might not mix the exact color hue that you used the first time. However, if you're using directly from a paint tube, you're always going to get the exact same color every single time. That's what we want. We want something that is predictable so that we can understand our color wheel and understand how it works. Once we get a good understanding of how our color wheel works, we can start mixing our colors together and creating our own color wheel with just the three primaries. But for right now, we're going to try and basically create a limited color palette with colors that specifically fit in each portion of our color wheel. So for me, when I was mixing Permanent Rose as well as my Winsor Lemon, I got a really, really warm tone but vibrant red. And after swatching next to that one, the closest color that I could find in my particular paint stash was Scarlet Lake. So that is the one that I actually put in for my orange in my traditional color palette. The next one that I did was Winsor Lemon mixed with Winsor Blue Green shade, and I got a deeper green, and the closest color that I could find in my paint stash was Phthalo Green Yellow shade by Daniel Smith. So I put that in for my green shade. And then the next color combo that I had was Winsor Blue Green mixed with Permanent Rose, and I got a really nice deep violet, which is Winsor Violet. So that being said, we have our primary and secondary colors all mixed up for our traditional color wheel. And finally, to just wrap up this video really quick, I did the same process again, making my tertiary colors. So what I did, I mixed my primary color with my secondary color together as a gradient in equal proportions, let it completely dry, and then swatched colors that I had and basically tried to see how close I could get to the color that I had mixed. So for the traditional watercolor wheel, my tertiary colors that I got closest to were Winsor Red, Permanent Orange by Daniel Smith, Permanent Green Pale by M. Graham, Phthalo Green Blue by Daniel Smith, Winsor Blue Red Shade, and Quinterdone Violet. So those are my tertiary colors for my traditional color wheel. Now let's go to our modern color wheel. This one actually was really tricky for me, and it's because a lot of watercolor doesn't have these brighter colors, and it's because a lot of people don't want colors that aren't light fast. So it's harder to find these more vibrant, bright colors, and I'm going to have a different parameter set for these. So the very first thing that I want to make sure that I adhere to is color vibrancy. I want these colors as brilliant as possible. The second thing that I want to do is choose more opaque colors. This is going to give me a completely different look when compared to my traditional color wheel. So I want to lean more towards semi-opaque to completely opaque, and a couple of them I'll lean into semi-transparent, but there's really no completely transparent colors. And the reason why I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you right now, it is very, very hard to find traditional watercolors for the modern color wheel. A lot of times these colors are gouache colors, and you're going to notice that I'm going to have to substitute some gouache colors into this color wheel. The third factor that I want is mixability. I really, really want to make sure these colors mix well together. Since I'm working with more opaque colors and I might have granulating colors, I really want to test out and see, do these colors mix well together? And then finally, if I can, I want to stick to as close as possible a pure pigment setup. This is just going to be one less thing that we have to tackle since we're already working with opaque and granulating. So it's going to make it easier for us for color mixing if I stick with pure pigments, but it's not a rule breaker. If I have to add a color pigment that has multi-pigments, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. But my first choice would be a pure pigment. And for these three primary colors, I ended up with Opera Pink from Daniel Smith, Cadmium Lemon Yellow, and then Manganese Blue from Winsor and Newton. These are the three colors that I found worked best with one another. So the next thing we need to do is figure out our secondary colors. So when I was mixing my Opera Pink as well as my Manganese Blue together, I got this really bright reddish purple hue, and honestly I had nothing in my watercolors that matched this at all. So either I was going to have to fudge on it, or I was going to have to find something that worked better. So I actually went into my gouache colors, and I did find a color that matched this really, really well, which was Brilliant Red Violet. The next thing that I did was I mixed manganese with my Cadmium Lemon Yellow, and I got a really pretty green shade, very light kind of chartreusey green shade. And the closest color that I could find for this one was Phthalo Yellow Green by Daniel Smith. And then lastly, I mixed my Cadmium Lemon Yellow with my Opera Pink, and I got a very, very bright orange color, which the closest color that I had was Cadmium Orange Light. And so those are my primary and secondary colors modern color wheel. And finally, to just wrap up this video really quick, I did the same process again, making my tertiary colors. All right, so we have our two sets now of primary colors, and we have begun building our color wheel for both the traditional as well as the modern. And already you can see there's a very, very different vibe with both of these primary sets. So we have filled in our whole color wheel. And next time, what I'm going to do is teach you how to check and see if these colors actually are the correct ones in your color wheel. So yeah, there's still a chance that some of these might not be correct. So there's one more test that we have to do, but we basically have run out of time, so I'm not going to get into it in this particular video. So once again, if you have made it to the end of this video, please make sure to put the rainbow emoji, since we're making rainbows this week for our color wheel. And also let me know, do you like the traditional colors better, or do you like the modern colors better? And that is it for this video. Hopefully that wasn't too much information and y'all understand a little bit more about the color wheel and how we are building our own as a tool to use instead of just a resource. So lots of love, y'all. I will talk to you soon. And as always, happy painting.